cab while his door caved in, would have pinned his leg between the crushed door and the steering wheel. So at least fortunate in that short little trip. He wasn't buckled. On top of that, oh hey, we're gonna be live on Rockfin too. So now we're live over on the Rockfin and should be everywhere else. Happy Sunday, everyone! If you're just joining us on the rest of the platforms, is giving you kind of an update. We were supposed to be joined by Reed Coverdale. Reed was in a gnarly car wreck at the beginning of the week. It changed his travel plans. He went up to the Freedom Fest at Mount Rushmore, but caught a ride, so he had to fly back down to Salt Lake City today. His plane got stuck on the tarmac. He's just now getting out of the airport and catching a ride back to his place. So he's another hour and a half out or so. He won't be with us. So on the fly, kind of rescheduled the show and rearranged what we're going to do here today. I'm going to take your calls. We're also going to take a look at what's going on around the world. I want to give a big shout out before we get going to Sleepy Josh on the ones and twos. You can buy Josh a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Bort, BORT. Help out the motherfucker that helps us out. We are an entirely viewer funded show. The only way we get to keep the show rolling is through the support of people just like you. And we do have a GoFundMe up for that. I am going to pull that up on screen real quick, and then I will drop the link in some of the chats out here, which will hopefully conclude all of the business. Had an absolute shit day yesterday. And the only way we get to do this, motherfucker, is through your support. So if you can, please do donate. If you can't, I totally understand it. I would not be able to do so my damn self. But do share the link because it really, really helps. And that's no bullshit. Like, it's like I can't. We've had proof of concept on that. So each and every little bit does help. It's how we get to do the show, and I would like to keep doing the show. I would. Welcome everyone who's over here on the YouTubes, everyone on the Rockfin, Odyssey, D Live, and the one or two people that maybe watch us on Twitch. I don't know. I can't believe we have a fucking channel there. I really can't. It amazes me every fucking day. It does. Looking around the world. Holy shit, man. Hundreds of thousands of people all over the planet, all over the EU, even in Australia, where they lock the entire country down now if somebody sneezes. There are people out in the streets. The people are out in the streets because their government, who runs their healthcare, is trying to enforce abject tyranny on them. They're trying to give them papers, please laws everywhere they go. They're trying to force experimental drugs into people's bodies. And they're trying to determine who is and isn't a full citizen based on them having the proper experimental drugs in their body. If you have the wrong experimental drugs in your body or on your person, you can go to jail for a very long time. But if you have the right experimental drugs in your body, then you're a full citizen and you're allowed to go into the movie theater. You're allowed to go into the restaurant. You're allowed to go into the concert. You're allowed to get on the plane. But only if you take the right experimental drugs. Cartoonish shit is that? This stuff absolutely amazes me. It really does. Hopefully the audio cleared up over on the Aftermath and iHeart. Hopefully we're running well over there. So let me pull up a couple of Twitter threads here. I haven't even been able to tell the tweeters that we're live on the Rockfin yet. You know what? I'm gonna do that. This Sunday shit is a little bit of an adjustment. I don't get to do any kind of like promo shit beforehand. I guess I could and just have it waiting, but I don't have the link, so we're gonna do it live. The Rockfin. Sorry about the dead air here, folks. I can type. I can. And there we go. I'm not tagging anybody. That's all you get. Lazy tweet. Sorry, in a hurry. Moving over to the rest of the world. Who do I have up there? That's Australia, I think. So let's go to France. In Paris and about 100 other cities in the EU yesterday, there were massive demonstrations. And again, against lockdowns and against vaccine passports and against forced medical tyranny. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible. That's Paris. That's Paris. Look at all the fucking people in the streets. And look, 3.4 million people have viewed this video. Wide-scale protests continue into the weekend across France, calling for Macron's resignation following his announcement that a digital health pass would be required in all bars, restaurants, amusement parks, shopping centers, trains, coaches, and planes. Let's go over to a different article here real quick. This is just random like Microsoft news. So Angela Merkel's top aide warned Germany might bar unvaccinated people from restaurant, cinema, and stadium visits. This is just what we were talking about in France, where they're out in the street protesting the fact that they're going to have these passports here. People who have yet to get vaccinated in Germany may face restrictions from places like stadiums and restaurants. Chancellor Angela Merkel's chief of staff, Helga Braun's, made the warning amid a rise in COVID-19 cases. Approximately 49% of people in Germany are fully jabbed against COVID-19. So an aide for a top official in Germany said unvaccinated officials might face restrictions, including being barred from places like restaurants, as the country's COVID-19 cases continue to surge. The Delta variant, a more contagious strain of the virus, has been the cause of increased cases throughout the country since earlier this month, raising concerns for officials that daily numbers could grow immensely in coming months. Reuters and the Associated Press reported Chancellor Angela Merkel's chief of staff, Helga Braun. I'm sure that Braun is a common last name in Germany. I'm sure it is. It would be too easy to make an Ava Braun joke, so I'm not going to do it. But, I don't know. Helga Braun told German newspaper Bild am Sonntag authorities are not anticipating another lockdown. But people who have not received the jabby jab could potentially not be allowed at some establishments. This could mean some things, such as restaurant, cinema, and stadium visits would not be possible for tested unvaccinated people because the residual risk is too high. Braun told the newspaper that vaccinated people will definitely have more freedoms than unvaccinated people. And that's what essentially this is all about. It's about controlling people's movement. It's about tracking and tracing who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, who you're speaking to, and how you're speaking to them. There's also the ability to put nanotechnology inside of your body, which is something that everyone in the medical profession has been banging on about for 25 years. So don't come at me with that's crazy, because it's their own fucking words and products. Medical wearables, the rise of telehealth and telemedicine, all of the depersonalization aspects that come along with this, the ability to remove our opportunity to talk to one another in person, the I guess dehumanization of everyday life, that as a goal for a transhumanist future is one of the most disgusting things that I can fucking think of. It really is. Let's jump over to Australia, because again, in Australia, if somebody sneezes, they lock down the entire country. If there's a case of coronavirus confirmed using a faulty PCR test, which everyone knows is bullshit, they lock the country down. Same in New Zealand. Somebody catches a cold, no one gets to leave their house. In Australia, it's been pretty fucking, like, especially brutal. So I did nothing but fucking empathy for those guys. I mean, 100%. But I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. Let's see. That's France. This is Brisbane, Australia. Let's get a little volume there. All over the planet, people are in the streets screaming for freedom and screaming for liberty. Meanwhile, in the United States of America, we have people who took to the streets yesterday okay. No problem, Sleepy. We had people yesterday in the United States that took to the streets as well. And again, let me just, remind everyone that across the planet, people were out in force, in mass, demanding that their government get the fuck out of their personal medical decisions, demanding that their government extricate themselves from an individual's health decisions. In the US, in the US, we had people take to the streets to demand the opposite. They were demanding that the government be more involved in their healthcare. They were demanding that in fact, the government take over the entire delivery mechanism of how we get our healthcare. This is where I'm a little bit bummed, because I was hoping to have this conversation with Reed, who, and by the way, we're gonna meet back up with Reed for the afternoon show. That'll be on Rockfin only. That'll be at 3 p.m. on the West Coast, 6 p.m. on the East Coast. I really am looking forward to chatting with this dude. So I did want him on the Big Ass Show because it is the Big Ass Show. However, I mean, take a look at me. Does it look like I've gotten what I've wanted before? Does it look like I'm used to disappointment? So at least I'm, capable of rolling with it. That's right, I have this thing. Every now and then I do like to check in with what the mainstream websites are pushing. I like to see where narrative management is headed, and I like to see if they found any new bad guys, or if they're still recycling the same old grim specters of impending communism. So guess what? I had clicked over onto the the Microsoft news, right? First thing I see out of Fox News, George Soros hands $1 million to group attempting to defund police as violent crime skyrockets nationwide. So this is one of the things that I would like you guys to call in about. I would like you, I mean, I'd like to hear about whatever you got going on, whatever's on your mind. If you have a specific discussion that you want to get into about Medicare for all in the US, I'm here for that. But this is interesting. It is. So liberal mega donor, and that's kind of bullshit framing too, because George Soros will give anyone money as long as they're trying to create manufactured confusion or division or distraction. Liberal mega donor George Soros has directed $1 million to an activist group attempting to defund the police as violent crime surges in major urban centers across the nation. Soros sent the $1 million via his Color of Change PAC on May 14th, according to the FEC, obtained by Washington Free Beacon. The organization describes itself as the nation's largest online racial justice organization and actively engages in efforts to defund police departments, such as spreading an online petition calling for divesting from and dismantling the systems that unjustly harm Black people. The group is also backed a push by the Milwaukee City Council to defund the police. Policing is a violent institution that must end, the group's president wrote in a statement supporting the move. We can imagine a country where there is enough money to educate our children, care for our sick, and feed those who are financially unstable. Defunding the police allows for this vision. We're going to talk about why that's like a step, probably the wrong step, and doesn't address the real problem. But again, this is something that I want to hear from you guys about too. Violent crime has dramatically surged in many large cities across the United States this year, including in areas where Soros has spent large sums of money electing Democratic candidates who have promised to ease sentencing requirements and implement relaxed bail reform laws. In 2018, Soros spent millions of dollars to help elect current Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon, who promised to implement sentencing reforms and decriminalize certain illegal activities. In 2021, LA City Council redirected funds from LAPD to social outreach organizations. This year in LA, murders are up 20% and violent crime has spiked, which has contributed to a rampant homeless crisis that many argue Gascon's policies have made worse. Philadelphia, where Soros spent almost $2 million electing District Attorney Larry Krasner, currently has the highest murder rate per capita among the 10 largest cities in the country, and homicides have risen 35% this year. When George Soros funded scores of elections for prosecutors who have no intention of prosecuting criminals and every intention of prosecuting police officers, he knew exactly what he was doing. Host of Fox News' Life, Liberty, and Levin, Mark Levin, said about Soros last year, he was funding a counter-revolution in the United States. Friendly reminder that Mark Levin is a walking piece of shit. However, so is George Soros. So when you've got two equal parts of giant human pieces of shit telling you that both are dirty, it's not necessarily news. What is, though, is the whole like concept of defunding the police. Now, y'all know me. I'm no friend to the police. I'm not. I'm that dude. I'm that ACAB dude. I am. All cops are bad. Always have been, always will be. Defunding the police is a stupid idea. And here's why. Because it misses the point. It misses the point entirely. You can not, through your city budgets, through your state budgets, you can not give the police any money, and they will still have billions come in federally. So do you stop the federal subsidies from the police? Okay, sure. Can you redirect that money? And is that enough money to combat exactly what the police are actually out there, in theory, trying to prevent, which is always property crime. It was always damage to a person's, business, source of income, personal property, and shit. So I don't know. Are you back yet, Josh?
Yeah, I'm here. I just can't fucking hardly hear.
Okay. Well, if the tow truck takes off, I kind of want to know your opinion on defunding the police. And if you can't hear, I guess it's pointless to open the phone line.
I mean, like like I live in one of the most crime-ridden fucking cities in the goddamn country. So like, I don't think they should have fucking MRAPs and shit like that. Like, they don't need weapons meant to like mow down hella people. Like, they just don't. But and I do think they need more things like, I don't know. The big problem with me is a lot of the problems are mental health problems, and until we address that, it doesn't matter. You can add more police, take police away. You're still going to have a lot of these problems because you got a bunch of fucking crazies running around. So that's kind of like I don't like cops either, but you know, I don't like having people murdered in my city either. So
Isn't it a fucked
I don't
up situation, dude? And Josh, you've got more reasons than most people to not like cops. You know, and even and I'm again, dude. I fucking I believe that the police are a violent gang of state thugs. I have seen them act in that fashion more often than I have seen them act in a protect and serve kind of manner. And the protect and serve manner is always situational. There's no consistency applied to it. It's personal whim of the officer.
And it's, I mean, my biggest problem too is the fucking direct, like, you know, PTSD military to cop pipeline. Like, you don't have to do shit to become a cop coming out of fucking war, dude. Like, and they treat everyone like the fucking enemy. So I don't know. Like that the stuff that needs to happen with the police isn't going to be fixed by fucking taking some money away from them. They've got to revamp that whole shit. It's fucked.
Well, and you make a very good point about the military to cop pipeline. And on top of that, a beautician has more hours of training than a police officer.
Dude, yeah, like, dude, teachers have to take more de-escalation training every year than cops do, period, in their whole careers. It's crazy.
You want to say that again in case people missed it?
Teachers have to take more yearly de-escalation training than cops do in their entire careers.
Y'all, I did not know that. I didn't. I should.
It's nuts.
Yeah, and it all too more times than not, because I've seen paperwork on it. We pulled it up on the show before. Cops have to pay for their own de-escalation training. Are you going to pay money out of your own pocket to learn how to be nicer to the people that you perceive going in as your enemy?
I'd venture not.
I mean, okay, so you're a cop. You're working 60 hours a week or some shit like that. Even if you're working 50, even if it's 40, you got 4 10s, that's your day. You got 3 days off. You got 1 day to beat your wife. You got 1 day to beat your kid and 1 day to go fishing or maybe work on the shed a little bit. Like, you're not going to go and spend your hard-earned money on learning how to not beat the people in your life. That's just crazy talk. That's going to cut into your fishing time, or it's at least going to cut into your beating your family time. And some of that is precious me time. You know, to spend money, to have to learn how to be nice to people that you perceive as the enemy, I think is counterintuitive to just about everyone. Which brings up the whole point of policing, at least in the minds of people who become cops. Like, there's a handful of different mentalities that I've witnessed, and there may be more. But I've seen people become cops because they genuinely like their community and want it to become better. They always get shipped somewhere else. They never end up working in their community. In fact, most police officers don't live in the communities that they police, which is a huge problem in the first fucking place. But I'm not going to act like we're not a nation of shitbirds. Go ahead.
They have no personal stake in the community they police, and so they just act like shitbags. Like, I got family that they were fucking shipped out on all their cop jobs, dude. Like, and they went home and beat shit out of their wives, beat shit out of their kids, and like you aren't wrong on those points. I know this from experience. Like, not great.
Well, no, and I'm not like, trying to make you uncomfortable or any of that shit either. It's just, I mean, these are fucking facts. Like, reported 60% of cops beat their wives. The other 40% are lying. It's fucking when you make someone do a shitty job, most of them become the things that they hate about the job. Most people, if they're forced to make their job their identities, like, that's always bad. That always backfires. That never comes out looking good. Let's see. I'm grabbing the StreamYard link for Ali here real quick. Fuck, man. I mean, the thing that sucks about all of this, all of it, no matter what angle you're looking at it from, and not just policing, but the problems that the West faces in general, is that we've let this shit go on far too long, to where any sort of walk back seems drastic, and any sort of like talk about reconciliation or talk about new approaches seem so unrealistic because of all of the problems that not addressing the bullshit in the first place has created. We've got a hyper militarized, full of PTSD and other fucking problems police force that views itself quite literally as the thin blue line between total chaos and civilization. Seems like we may have framed that incorrectly.
I mean, and at this point, like with all the federal money for militarized equipment, they're just an extension of the fucking military, straight up. They're not. Police are supposed to be local. They're not local no more. Sorry, guys. It's just a fact at this point. Like, it's an extension of the military, and we've been at war for over 20 fucking years. Like, so a lot of, like, I've only met a couple cops that weren't from the military. Like, I don't think people understand how common it is for the military people to go into policing, because it's one of the few jobs they can get easily.
Oh, somebody in the Rockfin chat just sent a link. There's a Citizens Against Political Prosecution rally. This is what Burmis was talking about with Cara Castronova, and then Antifa showed up to counter protest. So we've got a group that, in theory, is there for political prisoners. They're there for the people who are locked up over the Capitol 6 thing, that don't have bail, that have like terrorism charges and some other charges and shit like that. They essentially are political prisoners. She's not wrong about that. But I kind of like, it's so fucking weird because I am an advocate for political prisoners. I kind of feel like there should be instant, immediate overlap between what they're doing and what we do in the Assange movement. Haven't talked to any of these guys, but knowing that like Antifa's got to put on the costume to go up to counter protest, like that's pretty fucking ridiculous. Honestly, it is. There's something. I see Magnus is in the YouTube chat. Are you going to out on him like you did Friday night? I have no idea what that means. No clue. Magnus, did you want to jump in or something? Do you got some? If you do, fucking let me know. I'll shoot you a link. But Other than that, when Josh gets back, I'm thinking about opening the phone lines. We should be joined by Allie here in a moment too.
I'm already back.
Oh, okay. I try to give you 5 minutes if you ask for one, though.
I just grab coffee.
I try. But I've been rambling like an idiot for more or less a half an hour by myself. So if you want to, or if you would please, there's Allie. Yeah, open up the phone lines. We'll go ahead and take your call. 657-298-4767. Allie Alexandra, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Good to see you.
You too. You too. Had a nice morning. That's a lie. I want to thank MSNBC for scaring the shit out of my mother this morning. I appreciate it. Fucking.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or at least the MSNBC aspect and the fucking pandemic of the unvaccinated?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, until somebody calls, it's just like frustrating. And I'm sure there's tons of people out there listening who've had this experience where, I mean, maybe not a text message riddled with that much guilt from, but that was a lot, right? That's like guilt. No, it's just, and some days it's like, okay. And then like some days my parents be like, this seems like a money grab. And then whatever fucking commentator they listened to this morning, my God, it was that story about, I think it's like that doctor in Alabama who's like, I don't know, they were treating somebody who's dying. Ooh, we
got a wizard calling.
Ooh.
Hello, resident wizard.
Oh my goodness, did I actually break through?
Rob Juno, welcome to the program, Mr. Wizard.
I penetrated the orb.
That sounds kinky.
Beautiful. Good morning.
Oh wow, Allie's coffee cup disappears and it's hella fucking trippy. Oh, that's cool.
Isn't it though? That's pretty cool.
It takes like next to nothing to entertain me. I'm
Me
really
too.
a fucking simple creature.
I know,
you
see me on the screen.
Oh my god, the cup don't go. It disappears when you wave it in front of the
like,
I'm a show host.
Water bottle and does it too.
Anyway, good morning, Rob.
What's going on, Rob?
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
I love you guys.
We love you too.
You don't even know how much I love you.
Aw,
You're building a brain inside my skull right now, all of you people. So, that's to me, that's life itself. You guys are life itself, man. So I don't get out much, you might understand. Yeah. I don't have a big life out there in the big world. I live pretty much in what's left of my head, which is kind of a shambles at the best of times.
I hear you on
that. It's crazy in here sometimes. And I had some really big upsets in the last few days that have forced me to contend with the reality of my situation and harshly gripping ways. And so, I've been thinking really hard about how to get by and get through and get around and get over and whatever the hell has to happen next. And it's kind of panic inducing when I see so many people that are still kind of slaves to the MSM, to the mainstream bullshit stream. And I was listening to Kevin and Rania talk to Matt and Ann just for the tail end of their thing, and I got such a great big kick in the spirit. I said the word. I said it. All you people out there, damn it, I said it. Okay. I got such a great big kick in the spirit. I had to write something. And so I was sitting there and my pen started jumping all over the piece of paper and these things came out of me and I'm going to read them to you. And if I'm lucky and I'll get to the end and then I'll get out of your day or take questions or whatever you want to do. But, so USA in quotations, is effectively a crime against humanity because so many greedy little shit countries go along with it. Hello, China. If this were a remotely democratic world, how would we govern ourselves? Our overpopulating need for water, for land, fuel, and minerals has overwhelmed our simultaneous need for a livable planet. All military expense accelerates our demise. How can we turn that around?
I mean,
Okay,
that's
about
what
all
I was
the
talking to my
fucking
kid
muster.
last night about this, and I'm like, it doesn't matter what we do as far as climate change, as long as our military is still at war constantly, they're the biggest polluter. Like,
Mhm.
we're not going to do. We're not going to even put a dent in that shit until we fix that. So,
Mm-mm.
Well, on top of that, are we going to run around policing all of the countries of the world where we have a giant fucking global bureaucracy of emissions checkers?
Right.
Yeah. And if we're tracking every life form right down to its DNA,
Well, that's it. That's the trade-off, Rob. The trade-off is we'll save the planet. We'll stop the bad things from happening. Just give us 100% of your autonomy so we can make sure that you filthy human don't step out of line and become a filthy polluter.
that's right. Yeah.
Never ends.
All the control to me and everything will be perfect.
Yeah.
Where have I heard that before, eh?
Every horror story, every sci-fi novel that goes wrong.
Caitlin Johnstone had a decent tweet out the other day, and it was, they told you they needed to censor the internet because Russians. They told you they needed to censor the internet because terrorists. They told you they needed to censor the internet because right-wingers. They told you they needed to censor. Maybe they just want to censor the fucking internet. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the whole fucking thing. Maybe this is about control.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
They want to censor my brain. Good luck. Good luck.
I mean, it's true, though.
They really do.
You might as well just shoot me now. Get it over with.
No.
Let's get the fuck out of the way. I got a planet to save here, damn it. It's okay. We're going to talk about saving the planet from itself. What would be the most logical thing to do first?
If I had the answers, I would tell you.
Hey, so Keith Hayes in the Rockfin chat says blaming it on the military while a good idea ignores the reality of overpopulation and useless eaters. Keith, the useless eaters thing comes out of the predator class. The useless eater. There is enough land and food for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There is.
Yeah.
There's enough water for everyone. We have horrible priorities. We have absolutely destructive tendencies.
That's right. Our managers suck.
Yeah.
We're not. You could put the entire fucking world planet's population inside the state of Texas and you would still have room.
Oh, shit.
I'm not fucking kidding.
Really?
You can stand each and every person on the planet next to each other. Will fit in Texas and there will be real estate left over. Don't ever fucking tell me we don't have the resources to sustain this. We do. We have fuck priorities. We have sociopaths and fucking pedophiles running the goddamn planet. That's why you hear words like useless eaters.
Useless eaters. Oh, shit.
You're beautiful. I would vote for you right now, man.
I would never run for fucking anything except from the police.
No, you're not get ready for your campaign.
Vote for you.
No.
We've heard it today. We're not kidding. No.
I said this on Twitter the other day. I don't find there is nothing on the planet more boring to me than partisan politics.
That's exactly what qualifies you for my vote, sir.
Fuck no. No.
You don't want the job? Bang, you got it.
Yeah, right.
I think he's onto something here. Like, I think people who in politics shouldn't want to fucking be there because then they'll like get out.
Right.
That's how you
Can't
get
be any worse than
government
what we
buying
got.
for the people, man. That's how you get it.
I like Bill Binney's idea.
Isn't that the just point at the phone book thing?
Yep, open up the fucking phone book.
You are. I just have to believe you.
I do. I think Bill Binney's onto something. If the three full contingents of samurai don't settle the problem, then maybe just picking Congress out of the phone book would be a little bit better.
I think that's a great idea.
Hey, you have been picked to serve as your district's representative.
Yeah, congrats.
That's right.
Now fulfill your public duty. And then you do that for 2 years or 4 years or 2 or 6 or whatever. Maybe you'll get lucky and get the presidential one.
I mean,
don't know.
honestly, if we eliminated lobbyists and if we eliminated, if we had legitimately purely publicly financed elections with a $20,000 cap on it per candidate, and they only lasted for the fucking election cycle only lasted for a month. And they were hyper localized. And if you couldn't live in Boulder Creek, California and fund AOC's campaign in fucking the Bronx. Like if those were things, sure. But they're not.
In a way,
working back to something like that requires extracting not just the money from politics, but the national security state from politics and the Five Eyes from politics and global business from politics.
Yeah, global business.
Steve, your big mouth does more to defend America than the whole U.S. military.
Well, I appreciate that. That may be a little hyperbolic, but I'll take it.
We salute you. How about that?
That's not hyperbole. That's not hyperbole at all, man. At all.
It's time to run for office, okay?
You and an army of people like you are basically what's holding this shit together right now, because the military sure ain't.
That's going to be interesting.
The U.S. military like the enemy. Everybody look at the U.S. military. Look at the U.S. military like the enemy.
We've had this talk a little bit with Danny Sherson, who was an active duty member of the military and who led cavalry division in Iraq and Afghanistan. But then cavalry's boots on the ground. They're the second wave.
Okay.
I don't want to take up all this time. God damn it, Steve. Thank you very much for making some time for me. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I love you. Sorry I went on so long.
You're fine.
You're good, Rob.
Yeah.
I love you all. I
love you. Have a good one.
Take care of each other, okay? Bye.
Much
Bye,
love,
Rob. Take care.
Do love our Rob Juno here, a resident wizard.
He's a sweetheart.
More fucking sweetheart.
He is. No, that's a conversation though. There's always people that are like, well, there's people within the military that are working against all this. And I'm like,
Aurora B. Yeah, I've heard of Frantic Missy. She randomly DM'd me.
Who that?
And we had like a brief message exchange, but I haven't heard back from her in a week or so. So I don't know.
Sorry.
But it's just one of those like weird things. Yeah.
Who?
An account named Frantic Missy.
She's frantic.
Yeah, but according to Aurora in the Rockfin chat, she thinks that Assange holds a piece to the Bitcoin puzzle.
Oh, I've heard that. That's about all
look, man, in a world of infinite speculation, we get to choose our own conspiracy.
Yeah.
you know, and
Well,
I can see where it comes from. WikiLeaks was an early adopter of Bitcoin. They were one
okay.
of the only businesses on the planet that were like, yeah, no, cryptocurrency is a viable form of economic, engagement. When MasterCard and Visa stopped accepting payments and Amazon dropped them from their servers in 2012, WikiLeaks like pioneered, donations via Bitcoin. It is not out of the realm of conspiratorial speculation to maybe see a connection between the mythical figure of Satoshi and Julian Assange having some sort of exchange, given how active Kim.com is with Bitcoin Cash and shit like that. Not out of the realm of possibility. However, I haven't seen a scrap of information on it.
In the context. The context of the time, because I get why people could think that, but the context of the times was obviously WikiLeaks, so they're going to take on something like Bitcoin to accept as payment because it's private. I don't know. That's just my average person. Well, at the time, I don't know. This is just pretend you're educating me. I don't know.
No, I mean, I could see again, early supporters and adopters of Bitcoin, light years ahead of the game in terms of like having a bit stacked up down the road when it blew up.
Yeah.
But as far as like a key to the Bitcoin puzzle, I don't know. I haven't seen anything on it. So Aurora, if you're in touch with Missy, like if you're like conversational and shit, please tell her to hit me up again and send me whatever she got, and I'll gladly take a look. I enjoy travel. I do. I'm a fan of it. I think we've established this. I enjoy going new places, and I have been to many times and enjoyed my stay on Speculation Island. And I will go back. I will. No problem going back to Speculation Island. But I cannot afford a vacation right now. So Speculation Island will have to come to me. Is I guess what I'm getting at. Allie, I want your opinion. And by the way, guys, phone line's still open, 657-298-4767. Give us a ring. Let us know what's going on. If we have in the audience right now someone who is a diehard proponent of Medicare for all, and you're well-versed in the argument, please call into the show because I would love to have a conversation with you. I was trying to do this yesterday. I was a little bombastic, a little dickish about it, a little bit, but I was pissed. I was for a number of reasons. Sorry, I shouldn't have done that while Allie was taking a drink. My bad. I couldn't see the cup because it fucking blends in.
It's so weird, dude.
Allie brought her stealth cup, and now my joke timing is off.
I'm so sorry. Because what? Why?
That shit's funny, dude. I actually didn't. I had no finish.
You had nothing. Yeah,
I had no clue where that was going.
If anything, it helped.
But I really am fucking weirded out by the juxtaposition of the entirety of the rest of the world taking to the streets to demand freedom from their government-run healthcare, and the fact that their government and their healthcare system are so intertwined, they've now been successfully able to force a vaccine passport onto their citizenry. Whereas here in the US, we don't have the vaccine passport yet.
Nope.
But we do have like increasing medical tyranny.
Yeah.
And the solution, at least for the progressive left, is to take the abuses of power that the medical profession and the insurance lobby have put onto all of us and transfer all of the power with none of the culpability to the government, who historically has been responsible for local, national, and international abuses of power as its signature move. So I understand the argument that, well, they have health care so they can get into the streets. I understand that argument. I do. It's 2021. Those countries have had health care 70, 60, 50 years. Some of them almost 80 years, nationalized health care. They've been trying to decouple from that for decades. And I understand that there's also been like a push to where NHS executives and other healthcare ministers have been bought off by private companies. I understand that. I do. Nothing that we're doing is tenable. Nothing. It is a death sentence in general to not live in a country that recognizes healthcare as a human right. I am not trying to argue that. What I'm saying is we're so far off the rails and our government is so corrupt that putting them in charge of healthcare frightens the fuck out of me. Yeah. And I would, on its face, resist that.
Yeah, as would I.
And I think that a lot of the reason that you don't see people turning out in droves to a Medicare for All march is because nobody wants their government anywhere near their fucking healthcare.
No.
We're at a point in the country where trust in government is lower than it's ever been.
Rightfully so.
Legit.
Yeah.
And we've got a group of people that are hell-bent on giving the government more. And not even people in the government are incentivized to do it. No. Like, that's the weird thing. The progressives are like, please, daddy government, take the whole fucking show. And daddy government's like, no, we're actually making a little bit more money right now, squeezing every last dime out of you so that you die bankrupt from a preventable illness. Go fuck off. And that's the stalemate. The stalemate is we've got people offering the government more power and more control, and the government being hesitant to take it because they're getting by just fine, bleeding all of us dry. That's the standoff? You're negotiating from a place of weakness the entire way. Your solution to the problem is to transfer all of the power to the government.
Like, why? I don't get it. Well, that's what they people will say, well, that's what they should be doing. Again, this is where I kind of lose touch with some of them, because it's like, we can live in a world of shoulds, yeah, but what is right now? And I mean, if they're going to do this, how are we so confident that suddenly people in the government be like, you know what? Yeah. And then the echo's weird.
And Jim Quinn in the Rockfin chat, the argument is supposed to be government is payer, doctors as providers. And I understand that. Here's the problem. Do you have to legislate that in order to get it?
Right. Let's see. Okay, Fred Edwards says M4A isn't about giving government control of healthcare. Yes,
call in, Fred. You've got a good argument about this. Yes. Call in.
There's a risk there's a risk they take it, but the marches are the government replacing insurance companies as the accountant. I don't want the government doing anything like that. Because look, where is the consistency? In other cases, you have people like, as far as like police, there you don't want more government control. So why healthcare? What makes you think that they'll be good on that versus?
Because they want the giant public pool because it reduces costs overall.
But I don't see
the thinking behind it. And it's, I mean, that's how insurance works.
Yeah.
Everyone pays in a little bit every month, and that's supposed to cover the cost of everybody in the pool. or offset the cost of everybody in the pool so that they don't have to pay out more on the back end after they go through whatever procedure. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Let me put forth to you guys, insurance isn't necessarily necessary. Let me suggest that.
Like, if there was like true fucking cost controls, then this wouldn't even need to be a fucking conversation. Did they charge you like fucking $50 for an aspirin?
Yeah.
Like,
It was
straight up.
$112 for one aspirin at Dominican Hospital.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we pay like 30 times what everyone else pays for shit.
Yeah.
And just putting that bill to the government is not going to fix our fucking health care.
No. And
to address the problems of them price gouging us.
That too, which they were supposedly talking about that for a while, and then
when my mom was still alive, she went to the fucking ER. They literally took her blood pressure and took a blood test. They charged her $20,000 fucking dollars.
What?
$20,000.
Yeah, that's fucking criminal.
She died with that bill, by the way. So.
And I understand. Yeah, I know most of these people, their heart's in the right place, but it's like, I just never want to be in a position where I'm begging a politician for anything. That's not me. I'm never going to beg a politician that I know has zero interest in actually like executing this the way that they want it. And so they're just going to get disappointed. And again, we're completely losing sight of the fact that at the moment, data is everything. And so what I fear is that there will be some movement on this sold under the guise of like, yeah, we're going to do Medicare for all. And it's more just data collection, medical data collection. And like, that's not good for anybody. But I know that there's real conversations and things that need to happen, especially about insurance and how this all paid out. So I don't want to be insensitive to that. And yeah, like, I mean, it's just frustrating. Also, again, the clickiness of some people in this group and just like excluding some from being, involved versus others being.
Oh, we'll get there.
But I would okay, good. I would love. And I've seen that you were a little bombastic yesterday. I agreed, though. I was feeling the same. But I would love to hear an actual debate then about this, like from one of the people like in this movement that are like die hard about it. I would love to hear a debate on that because I need these people to understand that you are going to have pushback. So you can't just cry and exclude every time somebody doesn't necessarily agree. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, no, I mean seriously, like I'm not trying to yell at anybody. I'm not trying to like scream, belittle, or make fun of anybody. I genuinely want to have a conversation with somebody about this. I do. I have never been able to get anyone to engage with me because when I start with, but what about, that's as far as I get, and I'm automatically a Trump supporter.
Yep. But we need to come together and work with, well then, let's do that.
Okay, but you can't have different opinions.
Well, that's a problem. I don't really know how far.
Like the shit yesterday, dude. Like it reminded me of like to be in that fucking club or that camp. You have to agree with them a fucking 100%. They're going to be left with like 50 fucking people to protest with if they purity test the shit out of everybody. It's like, get what the fuck you want and then go at each other. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But that's not, you don't organize by just like shutting everybody fucking out except for your goddamn friends on Twitter, because that's not going to get you anything in this country. Newsflash, you need more than the number of active users on Twitter to get anything done in this country. Sorry.
I've been reverting back to that lately because you mentioned that a lot, Sleepy. Like, it's good to remember that Twitter is in reality, it's a small group of people. Yeah.
And most of these fucking M4A marches, they're all fucking Twitter based. It's like, you're going to need to get the people that you don't agree with if you want shit in this country. And I don't care what the issue is, whether it's Medicare for all, whether it's, police brutality, whatever the fuck it is. If you single every goddamn person out, you're not going to have enough people to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but if you only advertise your events on social media, you're fucking excluding a number of people in your city.
Yeah. 100%.
Exactly.
If you want a local event, you've got to flyer the fuck out of your town. You have to have a street team that goes out into the Streets.
Yeah.
Ahead of time. Flyers, pamphlet, talking to people on the streets. Fucking send people out to the bars the night before.
Right.
That's... Is it...
Guess what? Not all those people are going to agree with you.
Nope.
Fucking newsflash. No one fucking is going to agree with anybody 100%. And if that's your goddamn purity test to work with someone, then get the fuck out of activism, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's a waste of your fucking time, and it's a waste of my fucking time.
I want to bring up. I want to bring up the thread that Steve. So first, I guess I'll show what happened to Fee yesterday.
Oh yeah.
We'll do that.
And I am complaining about this, but for the record, I did go to the Chicago one. They had a nice little turnout, but
yeah, no, Allie stopped by the Chicago event yesterday. Got some footage. That's
Right back.
It's on the Slow News Day Instagram and maybe your Twitter.
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, so here's what happened to Fee.
Fighting for Placebos, and there was also a Julian Assange protest. The reason we were all there was because we were censored. Because the mainstream media, like CNN right here, censors independent media. All of you here, independent media, are crucial because they don't talk about Medicare for all. They're propagandists for the state agencies. And that's why we're here today. That's why you see us here. And they were trying to censor us. We had more police surrounding us at Force the Vote and Julian Assange than they had police on January 6th. Cut off. Thank you guys.
So, according to the organizers, everyone only had 4 minutes, and they had to cut Fee's mic because her time was up. The timestamp on the live stream of all of this, Fee had been talking for a little less than 2.5 minutes. So here's what they originally were giving everyone: 5 minutes at the LA event. There's a lot that happened before this. If you tuned into the show Friday night, our surprise guest co-host was Pasta, and he was talking about how he had been removed from the stage because the 23 hours prior to the event, one of the organizers called Pasta and said, "You're not vaccinated, right?" And he goes, "Well, no." And she goes, "Well, then you're going to have to show me a negative COVID test if you want to speak, or you're going to have to, wear a mask and be distant while you do your thing." And Pasta was like, "Well, it's going to be $200 for me to get an emergency test, a rapid result test. Otherwise, it takes 24 hours. Thanks for waiting until it would be impossible for me to do that. Appreciate it. Good looking out. No, I'm not going to pay $200 out of my pocket to get a PCR test, which we know doesn't work. For your edification, even though I've already had coronavirus and beat it, documented how I did it, and put it out on the internet for everyone to see." That's the position the organizer put Pasta in immediately. Fee, naturally pissed off about it. So when she got up to speak yesterday, she got up to speak. She was telling her story. She was talking about her activism involved in areas around the cause that she was advocating for. Force the Vote was ostensibly about Medicare for all. Yeah, it turned into a pissing contest between Sam Cedar and Jimmy Dore, but it was supposed to be about Medicare for all. It was supposed to be about getting a couple of people to do the thing that they ran on. And they couldn't even get them to do that because the people who ran on that were fucking lying to you to get your money and your vote, because they're politicians. So they're going to lie to you to get your money and your vote. And they don't even need your vote. They just need you to think that you voted.
Yeah. And I thought that we would like then real quick. I thought at that point, I was like, oh, good. People will realize what a sham it is. Hey, and here we are. Still talking about forced vote, meaning like there's still people arguing about it. I was really excited at that moment because I was like, oh, thank God people will see like, oh, wow, my politician's not going to do this. Like, why wouldn't they?
No. In fact, it made people even more polarized. It made people even like dig down even.
Hello.
Hello? Hi.
Hi, this is Jordan from DC Metro for Response.
Jordan, what's happening? How you doing? It's good to hear you.
It's good to hear y'all. I'm just like watching the show and I'm just like, I have too many things. I'm just feeling everything. And I just really wanted to call in and just speak with y'all because it's just absolutely crazy what's going on. I feel like I'm just losing it and just so distant from like the majority of people, but I also don't want to feel, what's it called, superior or anything, but it's just like, wow, this is absolutely crazy.
Let me ask you a question real quick before we get started, Jordan. Has a lady named Shahar hit you up?
No, I've been really what's it called? I had an injury recently, so I've had to take a step back from some things. So I haven't. So if they did, I haven't seen it.
Okay, because there was a woman who called into the Friday show, saying essentially what you are. She's in the DC area. She feels completely alone. Everybody, even her own family, is like pressuring her about the job and shit, and she feels like she's going crazy. So I suggested that she come to the rally tomorrow, and I gave her some Twitter ads of the DC Metro organizers. Just so hopefully there would be, at some point some connection and people would feel less alone and less crazy.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that. I've just had truly just the craziest past 3 weeks ever since all of the Assange stuff. After that week, I've just had crazy situations where my car broke down. And it's like, since I delivery drive, it made more sense for me to have to like go into my savings and just get a new car, but not a new car, but another car, which was crazy and just overwhelming, like financially, especially like with supporting myself. And then I get a neck spasm and re-injure a neck injury that I've had. And I can't move for a week. And it's so funny because I've been a big supporter of Medicare for all, at least like the concept of everyone having free health care. Like I grew up as a military brat, and so I had that, and didn't realize until much later how much of a privilege that was. And like everyone deserves that. Everyone deserves the what I had growing up, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. Like as a concept that like now I don't have that. I have nothing. It's a whole story and a half, but like I don't have any health care, and what I'm dealing with now, like I couldn't even afford to go to urgent care and get a muscle relaxer and a bunch of ibuprofen that I used to be able to get when this would happen. And then I can't work. I couldn't work for a week, and it's just like stuff like that just makes you not want to really function and be on this planet, because it's just like, well, what else am I supposed to do? And that's why for a while, like, but I'm at this point where I'm just like, no, I'm not gonna let these elites and whatever win, because they do this on purpose. They put us in. They honestly don't want us to be living like happily or at all, it seems. So I'm not gonna give up. But it's like I've been put into this financial situation and this medical situation, and there's nothing I can do. So, but at the same time, after everything that's happened in 2020 with all this COVID stuff, it's just like I do not trust the government at all to have like so much say over my my healthcare, and it's just like what people are doing to Fiorella online is absolutely ridiculous, because I think what's happening, with people who are independent thinkers not just people who are reactionary, partisan thinkers. We're going through this paradigm shift where it's just like we've wanted to believe, we're still going through this paradigm shift of like leaving partisan politics and putting freedom and liberty and those values first. Because like I want to be free, but I'm not willing to sacrifice. But I also want healthcare. I'm not willing to sacrifice, what all this biometric stuff and all of these things that they want to do. All of a sudden, now that it to me it feels like all of a sudden now that they've got the surveillance stepped up and all of this like domestic terrorism, they've got it all situated to now that we are going to be begging for this healthcare system that they're going to frame as us like being like this is something that's going to give us freedom and health and life and everything. But it's just another part of their plan, because they could have done this all, a bunch of time, a couple of years ago or decades ago. But they waited until like we are on the floor begging for this, and it's just a freaking trap. It's just a freaking trap. And I'm at a place of cognitive dissonance, and all of these people on Twitter are beating up Fiorella and Pasta and all the other people, but they're not realizing what's happening. Like they're not realizing that the trap that we are being fed into. And, I have sympathy for people who are big Bernie supporters like me back in the day. And like, we're big on Medicare for all because we believe like the concept was great. But, don't go up and beating up other people because they're trying to put truth and freedom first. So I don't know. I mean, that's what I've got to say on all of that. This is just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and you're right, and you made a couple of really good points there too, and it is a paradigm shift. It is, and it's a very painful reckoning. To have the realization that the worldview that you held may be a harmful one, or one that will lead to technocratic tyranny, like that's a shitty conclusion to come to. And I've got a lot of fucking empathy for people who are going through that journey and who are like recently coming out on the other side of it, because I would imagine that there's a lot of fucking second guessing going on. I'm sure that like Pasta and Fee and Johnny have at several points been like, did we fuck up? Because they could probably be having a hella comfortable life right now. If they just played that game and, spent their time like, well, this person's a real progressive and this person's not a real progressive. And this person really isn't trying to fight for Medicare for all. Like if that was their show, they'd probably be doing a lot better. But because they decided that they were going to act on the information that they learned and apply it to their lives, they've had to face a number of consequences. And we all have. Anyone who's came to these conclusions and made, statements, moves, or whatever to that point, so we're going to live outside of these narratives, we're going to fight against these narratives. We've all paid a price for that. I mean, Jesus, dude, like we haven't had a fucking video monetized on YouTube in well over a year and a half. Like we just took the show full time, but I mean, that's going to be a fucking uphill struggle each and every day. Anytime there's a day where like 0 donations come in on the GoFundMe, I just want to fucking kill myself and like not do the show anymore. I'm like, no. Yeah. And I try not to let that shit get to me. I really do, because I feel like this shit is way more important and necessary. And there's not a lot of people that have the conversations that we do. So they need to happen. But I think that, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I first of all, I totally understand that. Like, you know, and I thank you all so much. Like, especially like you and the NCSC network. Like, I don't know where I would be because, like, for a while, like, there were some other people I was watching, and when I finally broke away from like watching Rising, like, I didn't know where to go, and then y'all were just sitting there, and I was like, wow, this is where I'm at. Because I mean, just everything that popped up with COVID just made things click for me. And I've been someone who's been a big proponent of natural healing and like blending that, moving that more into the health industry. Learning how much, you know, learning how much the Rockefellers just simply demonized it for money and profit. And I've had so many arguments with people who like demonize natural healing, and I'm like, that's only because Rockefeller did all this stuff, you know, years ago, and invested himself into all of the science, mainstream science. And it's just like, can we have a moment to
just right?
Can we have a moment to just sit and realize how much we're being lied to? And every time they make us think that, like, they allow a little bit of progress to happen. Like all that stuff that happened in 2018, you know, with the squad coming in, they make us think there's a little bit of progress. So we put just enough faith back into our government to think that there are people who actually care about us. I mean, the fact that like AOC and Nina Turner weren't at that march when they, at the Medicare for All march, weren't doing anything, when that is literally how they came to fame, them like yelling and screaming, collecting donations from people on that very issue, even some probably Republicans, like, and that they weren't at the march. It's absolutely insane. And the fact that people are not like freaking out about that is absolutely insane to me. And you know, and again, it's like I'm still in this weird place of like where I believe that we should all have like access to health care. We should all have like free health care. We should all have that. But it's like, what are we going to do about that? That is going to, like, what specifically, how are we going to lay out the policy? I was a policy major. How are we going to lay out the policy to ensure that it's not something that bites us in the freaking ass? And, you know, I mean, I've gone back and forth with just being like, because I don't know if we're going to have countries by the end of this. The way that the transhumanists and all of these agendas are leading towards getting people to believe into a world government. Like, I feel like people are not like thinking about how they're laying the groundwork, because they're going to profit off the chaos that will lead to them profiting off of the control that they put in after, like the problem reaction solution thing. And it's like, we need time to sit and think, and we need to give people the ability. We need to establish a culture that allows people a chance to think and experiment in thought, not experiment with people's bodies, but experiment with our thoughts, and get out of this peasant mindset that just takes everything in the ass from these rich people in the government and corporations. And we need time to think. And that's, you know, I myself want to create. I've been wanting to have a YouTube show since like probably this time last year, but I've been dealing with all of, like, I'm supporting myself, and I just don't have the financial. I have nothing to stand on, you know, and I've been waiting and waiting for jobs to pop up, but trying to get a job out here as a Black female is just absolutely ridiculous right now in this market. You know,
well, yeah, and PG County is pretty full.
It's absolutely crazy. I mean, it's enough with the activism with DC Metro Forest Pond, you know, and which has been great. But it's like I want to help create a space. But you know, I don't have the money, and that's how they also get us. The people who think the most independently are the people who don't have enough time to actually talk. You know, but
they're just trying to get by, work, family.
So there's some people in the Rockfin chat that may not be fully picking up what I'm putting down, and I would like to address that.
They get it on YouTube. So sorry.
Rulabula, says, Steve, you have no clue what you're talking about regarding healthcare. I live in Sweden and would probably be on the streets in your shithole of a country with my kidney failure and empty pockets. So let me tell you that I am technically homeless. I am walking around in constant pain 24 hours a day because the shithole hospital in my shithole country badly repaired the leg that I blew out after I fell 18 feet from a roof and landed on the sidewalk on my feet. There's a nylon ball where my ankle used to be. I have metal and pins and rods and shit like that in my left leg. It sucks. It does. I don't have insurance. I haven't had insurance my entire adult life. The emergency room is my doctor.
I've got heart problems, and I have had 5 or 6 blood clots now, and I have no fucking insurance. So, I get wanting to have insurance, but I don't know. I don't have a solution for it. But having the government control everything, they're just gonna jab everyone with everything they want.
Yeah. When has that worked for?
I don't particularly like that either. And like I said earlier, they're just going to roll over the same overblown fucking costs onto the government, which is onto us. So we're still going to be paying out the fucking ass for shit care. And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It doesn't, the bills they're pushing for Medicare for all, they don't go fucking far enough, period. And they give no fucking control to the medical industry themselves, like the doctors, the nurses. If Medicare for all included that alone, I would trust it a little more. But it's just replacing an insurance company with a government-run insurance company. That's it.
Yeah, and you can't have a conversation about why you need half of this medicine anyway. None of that is ever allowed in this conversation. That's what's frustrating to me. Why can't addressing the root causes, with our nutrition, lifestyle? None of that's ever included. It's just more because there's a profit incentive. So you have a problem, take a pill for that. It's not to say you shouldn't take medicine. Sometimes you need medicine, obviously. But
if we think the government's not going to have a profit motive like the insurance companies currently do, we got a bridge to nowhere to fucking sell you.
Right. Let's just compare it again to other situations. When the government has, a profit incentive, what usually happens? Do they say no? Come on.
And again, I honestly believe that if we had addressed these problems at the same time that, for example, Sweden did, and when Sweden got nationalized healthcare, had the U.S. got nationalized healthcare, we would be experiencing the same problems, and we would, or at least similar problems, and have similar complaints and have similar ways that we see it. And I don't know what to tell somebody with kidney failure. I don't. I have friends that are on dialysis right now.
Yeah.
I know people that have to go through that right now. And I'm not saying they deserve to have to go bankrupt to pay for their dialysis. I think a lot of people get lost there, that because I'm saying I have problems with the idea and the concept of Medicare for all as written and as it's been delivered, that automatically means I must therefore de facto support a for-profit death industry that only treats symptoms. That's fucking ridiculous. Please remove that thought from your head.
It's frustrating. I want to talk to these more people, and it's just you just get immediately shut down.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. What the fuck are we supposed to do? How are we going to figure it out?
Everything that we're raising is legitimate and real. It's not some hyperbolic, oh, you just want China, bullshit. No, because if you pass Medicare for all, you're going to have to deal with the shit that we're talking about. You don't just pass the fucking thing and magically everything's fucking better. No, the real concerns that we have are going to get addressed one way or another. And if we don't figure it out on the fucking front end, it's going to get decided for us.
All we're saying is the bill is, as you said, as it's written, It's not a great fucking bill. Like, it's not.
Well,
Like, a lot of my disabled friends, that's their biggest complaint is they're like, there's some problematic shit in that bill. I won't support it. And these are like, terminally disabled people that have been disabled all their lives and shit. And they don't like it either because it's not, in some ways it doesn't go far enough. And in some ways it makes their care worse than they're getting now.
I'm looking
And
this bill
people
up.
on that system because of, SSI and all that shit. So that they have legitimate concerns, and these aren't people that are happy with their insurance. These are people on government insurance already, and the way they're reading the bill is they're going to have even more problems with their doctors and getting the treatment they actually need. Like, I know people that have to go to like 10 different doctors before someone will do anything besides just try to give them some pills. That's it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I'm looking at the bill right now. So tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an expert in Medicare for all, but the HR 1976 Medicare for All Act of 2021. It's only been introduced, but it says the latest action. I might be late on this. In May 18th, 2021, it was referred to the Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security. So
That's a little weird.
That's just weird to me. That's just a little side note. Why?
All right, we got people coming into the queue. We should probably wrap this one up.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. Hang in there. You're not alone.
Yeah, Jordan, you are the fucking wonderful and infinitely talented and incredibly beautiful, and we love the hell out of you. I think you're gonna be okay.
You will. You're not alone. You're not. I promise.
Yeah. And ditto all that back to y'all. Like, seriously, I don't know where I would be like mentally without y'all. So, yeah. Good luck. I'm gonna keep listening and while I'm working. So.
All right, sounds good. Have a good day. Okay.
Keep your head up, dude.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Hello, Kyle from Texas.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, it's Kyle from Houston. How are y'all doing today?
Good. How are you?
What's happening, Kyle from Houston? How's it going?
Pretty good. Just a happy Sunday. I'm glad it's Sunday.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, y'all have a good discussion going on about this Medicare for All. I'm totally on board with what y'all are saying. I used to think this Medicare for All thing was, I was more, you watch Jimmy Dore, and I really respect him. He really helped me get into more independent media. And I think he's a sincere guy. But yeah, I just see like the same sort of struggle. You see what's the movement for People's Party types, and call it Convo Couch. I'm starting to see like there's just no one's gonna buy this. I mean,
go into that a little bit if you don't mind. What did you mean just a second ago? You said something with the movement for People's Party. What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I just like when you listen to the interviews with the people who are behind it and everything, it's just you get this vibe. It's like this is for a very niche group, like for a certain personality type, a certain ideology. They're never gonna open up to the rest of America. They're out of touch with normal everyday people. You get the vibes of the type where like Pasta couldn't talk, at the rally. That type. just gatekeepers and
that's
I don't know.
I know
you hit the nail on the head right there.
You did.
Kyle,
yes, you did.
And look, man, I think most people know that I'm no fan of Nick Brana or the movement for the People's Party, but you're right, Kyle. It is such a niche thing. It's disaffected Bernie Sanders voters that want all the privileges of a protected political class without having to do any of the fucking work to get there.
And
yeah, I just can't believe in it. Like at first I was like, okay, but it just
sounds great. Sounds great, but
I don't buy it.
Like, can I get a plan or something of how this is going to work? Well, we'll get there. Go make your own party then if you're going to complain about this. Like, whoa, hang on. You have to again live in reality.
Girl, did you see the AOC like promoter lady get interviewed by Jimmy and when I don't know, I forgot what,
Mm-mm.
a while back, but it was like she used to help AOC, and now she's helping the People's Party. And then I think Jimmy asked her, basically, well, are you going to reach people on the right who want Medicare for all? And they just said they did not say yes. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Right. Because it's like, well, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
When has a partisan movement ever fucking gotten shit in this country? Only time we get shit for protesting and stuff is when it's not just one political side. Period.
Correct.
Exactly. And it has to be like, I mean, I love the anti-establishment will unite so many Americans. It's just like in our blood, even though we're all duped into like thinking, I think people would buy it if you phrase it the right way, because like, we're America, we're founded on no taxes.
Yeah, you have to shift your framing of it a bit.
But it's okay. But we still, we're rebellious types.
Yeah.
Still deep down, we want it.
And here's the thing, like for anybody who's throwing like what ifs or whatabouts about this, that's the point. This is shit that needs to get talked about and figured out. And again, just because I have many problems with the Medicare for all bill, what's in it, what's not in it, how it's put together, how it's going to have to get passed, what's going to happen to it in that process, and what it'll look like when they roll it out. Just because these things exist, that does not mean that I want or think we should only have a for-profit death system that only treats symptoms.
I didn't know how people jump to that conclusion. I just don't. I like that you're saying that. I think their brains are broken. I think it's they're so propagandized. It's like, how could you go from being critical of something and being suspicious reasonably and thinking critically and raising serious, like Ali just found that thing about terrorism. It's like, do you not know that the only time they're going to give this to us is either if they're scared of us, or if they get something like some biosecurity state crap all in our lives. That's the only. It's never going to be given to us with a serene and kindly countenance and a good heart. It's just never.
Hey, Kyle, I'm the government, and I've decided that you need health care because health care is a human right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow you to go see a doctor, to have a max $20 copay, except for you don't actually see a doctor. You put on this bracelet, and this bracelet has a series of needles in it that I'm going to have you like occasionally just stick into your hand real quick. It'll take all of your biometric readings, and it will determine whether or not you need to see a doctor. It will determine, in fact, whether or not maybe you just need some medication. And if you do, we'll send you a drone with it, because in order for us to have Medicare for all, we had to tie it to telehealth. And so now all of the diagnostics for your health are going to be done by the diagnostic nanobots that we put into your body with the pill that we gave you when you signed up for your Medicare for all.
Yep. And that my uncle is he's a dean at a medical school, or I don't know if he's a dean, but he's in the education, the curriculum side, and he tells me, and he's not against this, he's just telling me the facts. He wasn't doing it to complain. That they're combining engineering now with their education. That a lot of doctors are going to be studying engineering, and that they're trying to introduce AI. He told me it like a cool thing, and for diagnostics. I mean, it's the way things are going now. He didn't word it in a creepy way or dystopian way. He said it'll help diagnose. It'll get a better reading. And I'm like, well, how is this AI going to get your data? Like, how is it going to give them some blood? Are they going to put it inside? Like, and he didn't really have an answer, but that's where they're going.
Yeah, we're moving into a proactive society, not reactive.
Yeah, he got vaccinated. Sorry, Ali.
Oh no, you're okay. Go ahead.
No, I finished. I was
okay.
talking over you.
Well, no, just no, that's the point that you make of like, how are we going to get this data and like, how is it going to be able to tell? But we're seeing this in many aspects of the world. It's moving into proactive, like dealing with problems ahead of time. Like, for example, like pre-crime, you know, and then there's AI that can like detect these things, these risks. And then sure, in some little niche spaces that might be helpful. But when you then just apply that to the whole world, I don't think so. Because
he brought up how they're going to train them in one of her last articles. They're trying to use our fucking kids to train these models.
Because that's how they'll really perfect it.
Oh yeah, fucking children.
Yeah, the thing, she's welcome, trust stuff, and all that. Yeah, it's and, I mean, I don't want to. I know it's probably been talking for 5 minutes, but yeah, and I was just curious one thing, because I was reading Caitlin Johnstone's article, one of the ones that I think Stevie brought up. I just think it's like, you know, I'm very like anti-imperialist, but then it's like you're not even allowed to criticize China by some of these people, and like Danny Haifong and those types. And I'm just like, you know, I know it can be used, and I think this is her point. Like, usually what's behind that is like American propaganda, but China sucks. I'm sorry, I just want to say it. I don't like it. So, I mean, maybe
all governments suck. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Authoritarian government sucks, and that's why I don't think it's because the U.S. is better or different. We're like, it's a false division between like how our government runs and theirs. We're so similar, but it just bugs me when you can't even criticize China, because it's just you know, I just don't like when people shut down conversations. It's part of that too. It's like, I love Caitlin Johnstone, but then I see that, I'm like, well, you know, China sucks.
Just the shit they're doing in fucking Africa makes me nervous.
The government sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, dude, it's I think some of that comes from just general frustration. Like, some of it does. I think she means some of it, and I think some of it is branding. You know, but like, I think some of that is in the moment shit. Some of it she really does mean, and some of it is like, well, this is the niche I've carved out for myself in this space. I need to lean into it a little bit. I almost gave myself like the fake fucking right winger haircut thing. I had it down. I sent you a picture, Allie. But like, just to fucking, because I keep getting called like a fucking secret right winger and shit, and I'm like, well, you know, let's joke and lean into it, you know. But fuck, man, it's weird. It's so weird. I don't know.
We got shadow banned in the queue.
All right, well, Kyle,
thanks for taking my call, guys.
Hey, man, thank you.
Have a good one, Kyle.
You keep holding it down in Houston.
Yeah, take care.
All right, we'll do it. Bye.
Go to Skankfest.
Yeah.
Odele.
Seriously.
Orale.
Hello. How are you?
People.
What's happening? Shadow Band Refugee. How's the Borke? Thank you for hooking up the phone call from the Doncopter dude.
Well, I actually saw him in the Unity or Death podcast chat when you and Misty were both on there, and he said to prove that I'm actually from Albuquerque, I was actually part of the dildo drone incident. And I was like, bro, we deify you. You're like basically a fucking god.
We deify you. That's
so I was like, yeah, are you on Discord? You should go to the Slow News Day Discord, where you will immediately get like God status fame. But yeah, since everyone's talking about this whole healthcare thing,
I mean, it's topical.
Bring like I really need to put like my own personal experience into this. Is that number one? I worked in healthcare before I became an electrician, or not in healthcare, in insurance, right? And I worked in Medicare. I worked in Medicare Part D, as a matter of fact, which is just selling prescription drugs.
Yeah.
And basically, the whole way that legislation was really written is only rich people can afford the shit any fucking way. Like, I remember it was my last stint of being a drunk, and it really plunged me into the fucking booze hole. And one of the reasons why I never wanted to work in an office job ever again is that I told an old fucking lady on Social Security in the ghetto of Santa Fe, yeah, sorry, but nobody's gonna fucking pay for your cancer meds. Nobody. So you can either cop fucking $2,300 a month, or you can just suffer and be in pain until you fucking die. I didn't tell her in those words, but that's what the fucking message was. That's what the fucking point was, right? So, being that that is how fucking legislation is written, coming from a fucking Washington that is 100% out of your control, you have zero fucking say in what kind of bills they pass, what kind of bills they fucking draft, and you have no fucking say in anything that Washington does. These people that are saying, yeah, let's make sure that Washington fucking does something for us. And like, okay, well, you can fucking beg and fucking plead for this Medicare for all bullshit, but the devil's in the fucking details.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're fully prepared to fucking see what kind of Frankenstein fucking monster is coming out, that's going to fuck every single person and their fucking mother, then go for it. And on top of that, once they pass it, you have zero fucking recourse, because here's the narrative. Well, we fucking gave you your goddamn Medicare for all. Quit your fucking bitching. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, and I can draw a parallel to like cannabis legalization. Everyone's just like, legalize it. Okay, well, they're going to legalize it. But the only people that are able to produce it are going to be people like Monsanto and fucking pick your fucking poison Bayer people. And the only people that are going to be able to fucking distribute it is people like Philip Morris or AstraZeneca and Moderna, right? So really, you're shooting yourself in the fucking foot. You can't fucking have any type of fucking valuable legislation come out of fucking Washington until you remove the stranglehold of the fucking of the people that actually own those people. And I'm not sure that you possibly can, but I'm like, if you're looking for a utopian solution with fucking Medicare for all, I think you're all fucking high. Like, it's going to end up fucking you, because it always ends up fucking people on the bottom. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Medicare does currently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it affects people. Like,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what I hear from my disabled friends. Is like, they're already getting fucked, and Medicare for all, the way it's written, they're going to get fucked harder.
Yeah. Most people
yeah.
fucking go through the pain of reading fucking dry ass legislation, but like for fucking masochists like myself, I actually go through and I read the shit that they're trying to push through.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Matter of fact, these people are going to fuck
Put it
you
up on
as
screen
much as
now.
they possibly can on this
Okay, give me a
legislation.
sec.
And nobody's going to give a shit about how it's written, because it's Medicare for all is a buzzword. It's a fucking buzzword, dude.
Yes.
They don't fucking give a shit about how it's written. They don't give a shit about what the benefits that come out of it are. Yeah, fucking nobody's going to see where the fucking money's actually going. And like you were saying, you're not fucking cost controlling the people that provide the healthcare in the fucking first place, dude. So what are you really fucking doing? You're just fully you are merging, more so than it is now, you're merging the fucking corporate and state interests. Like, you can't
and that's
Washington now. What the fuck do you think is going to happen when you pass this bill?
That's what I said yesterday too, and like even people that like agreed with me were like, "Hey man, maybe you're going a little bit too hard here," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm fucking like, if anybody should be screaming for universal health care, it's me. It's me.
Yeah.
I have never had insurance as an adult. The emergency room is my doctor. I don't go to the doctor to see my doctor unless something is like hanging dead, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But because of this system, because I understand how government works, because I understand that you would have to legislate this in order for it to become national policy. Like, I don't want what they're giving me. I don't, you know, and I know that I will never be asked. I know that I will never be given a seat at the table there in order to work through any of this shit.
And Exactly.
So here's the healthcare bill. Allie, is there any place specifically that you want me to jump to?
No, that's what I was literally just perusing through it. I'm trying to understand why it was sent to a bill about the terrorism committee. So that was what I was specifically looking for. But let's see. Establishment.
How they did that?
I'm like, that's why I'm like, am I crazy or that's weird, right? And then I'm trying to see, is that something that we always do? Because if it makes you feel better, Shadow Band, I too like to look through the actual legislation. I get that it's quite painstaking.
Well, that makes two of
yeah, I'm trying to find. Usually, I'm pretty good at finding like the buzzword, and then I'm like, okay, but yeah, I mean, let's see here. It's giving all the things that the good buzzwords like that they want, like establishing care from birth and you're universally enrolled. But what I'm looking for is also like contracts and stuff that Is there anything, Shadow Bend, that you saw in there that you've read that stuck out to you by chance?
I don't remember what section it was, but try a keyword search on how do they fucking word it? They used legalese. I can't remember what the keywords are, but it's basically how they can raise the contribution amount over years for unexpected costs and shit, right? Because I can't fucking remember. Like, I remember what Bernie's original proposal was 2.9%. But there's no cap in that bill on how high they can raise that fucking percent of your contributed income, which is fucking terrifying. There's stipulations in it. There's stipulations in it, and fuck. I can't remember what the keywords are. Everything's in legalese, and it's been a while since I read that one.
Oh, you're fine. No,
I don't see anything in here about cost controls or anything about price protections.
Here we go. I found something. Monitoring, tracking, and availability of data.
What page?
Go to page 85. Yeah, I don't want to. Let's see. There's established Office of Secretary and Health Human Services, Office of Health Equity. But where is it? Yeah. They always do this now under the guise of equity, and that's how they're doing this. Because, yeah, monitoring, tracking, and availability. In general, let's see. I mean, on its face, you can say that it's bad, but then I've seen this before, like what they're doing this in Chicago, like these things pass under equity, and then it's really just tracking and tracing different components.
It's a slush fund too. Like, there's no fucking controls on where they can pull the funds or on where they can pull the funds from and put them into either. So, like, if you have a fucking R&D that is fucking an R&D for like Pfizer or Moderna or whoever the fuck, to go to Congress and lobby them to fucking put more fucking money into this shit, like, there's nothing that can stop them from doing that. Right? When they do that, like, you're just publicly financing private profit.
Yeah.
Right. And there's no controls on fucking cost on the fucking pharmaceutical side, especially, which is one of the more fucking dangerous parts of the bill. And if that's the case, then it's just a fucking free money piggy bank for pharmaceuticals, and they will just raise costs. And since there's no fucking cap on how much they can take from you for contributions on your income, then they can just keep fucking raising fucking prices. It's just literally robbing from the fucking poor and giving it to the rich.
Yeah, because that's what they typically do. This isn't. Why would they change up the style for this particular legislation versus other legislation where it's just a big money grab? I'm not even being cynical. It's just like, look at history.
Yeah.
So I just want to hear more about their
business model. So
I will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Okay. So here's
So
something.
this fucking idea.
Here's something fun.
Okay, good. Thank you. I knew I was onto something.
I'm not watching. I'm outside trimming something and talking to you guys. What you got, Steve?
The director of the Office of Health Equity, which is something new that will have to be created if this bill passes, shall establish and maintain a centralized electric repository to incorporate data collected across federal departments and agencies on race, ethnicity, tribal affiliation, national origin, primary language use, English proficiency use, immigration status, length of stay in the U.S., disability, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, incarceration, homelessness, geography, socioeconomic status, and make such data available for public use and analysis. That is that is
come up with a fucking eugenics program to fucking stop these fucking people from breeding because they're just too costly to the fucking state. They're useless eaters, to quote someone that was in a chat earlier. They're fucking useless eaters, and their genetic code says so. So we're gonna go ahead and fucking give them a shot and make sure that they can't fucking piss in the gene pool anymore.
Yeah, it scares me that I just happened to be looking and saw that it was deferred to the Department of, the Committee on Homeland Security. Why isn't that something, like, especially for these activists for Medicare for All that are really been dedicated to this? Isn't that something that's like should be talked about? I don't know. That freaks me out. That like
that
we
seems
just happen
like
to know
a
this.
question that needs to be asked. Yeah.
I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So why don't people give a shit? Because it's not a fucking. These people aren't in it for the movement. They're in it for the clout. They're in it for the fucking buzzword. They don't fucking give a shit how it's passed. They don't give a shit about the consequences of passing it, and they don't give a shit about what it actually ultimately does. They just want to fucking say that they did something at the end of the day. In my fucking personal opinion, like they're.
I know a lot of them mean well.
Ready to cut their fucking nose off to spite their face, man.
Yeah.
Where are you seeing the Department of Homeland Security thing?
Okay, so if you go, hold on, I'll send you the page real quick. If you go to the actions, like the latest actions here, I'm going to send you the page right now. We do it live, people. We do it live. All right, so click that, and then it should come up. And it just says, and I was looking at the history of like what else it's been passed to. And if someone wants, it's like, hey, Allie, they do that all the time. They always pass them around to every committee. Let me know. But that seems odd to me. Why that would be the next?
Speaker of the House who decides what committee it goes to.
Right. So yes,
the House
correct.
Whatever committee with whatever fucking members that she wants.
Correct.
So that they can rewrite and tweak the fucking legislation however they see fit.
Correct. And she decides also whether some legislation's ever even seen by anyone or can just sit there forever. It's exactly correct. So yeah, if you see, there you go.
Fucking strange.
Armed Services Judiciary referred to the Subcommittee on Crime, Terrorism, and Homeland Security.
Yeah, subcommittees. Yeah, because then you got all these subcommittees. It's just
well, because they've got to get a piece of the action too.
Of course.
And with this section that we just highlighted and had on screen with the centralized data repository, I mean, the people that they're talking about having data on, understand that that's everyone. And understand that in a nationalized healthcare service, there's no not having all of your biomedical personal information mandatory in a government server. Like all of it.
Mandatory.
And I can see the argument for this might be
question, like, who the fuck actually trusts the fucking United States federal government to fucking do anything on their behalf?
Right.
Does anyone actually believe that?
Or in an efficient way.
There's another way to fucking crack down on you. Like, and say you say something against the fucking government. Say you hold a fucking rally or a march, and they fucking put your name into a fucking algorithm that says, oh, you have to deny this fucking person healthcare whenever they come in because of some whatever fucking reason. What recourse do you have then?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I want to read through this more later.
So Costello sent in a super chat or super I want to talk about. He says, aren't you acting like gatekeepers now too? It's not going to get a vote anyway. Why not get behind it? More division is only going to keep the shit we have now. Here's the thing.
I'm not trying to divide.
If if people are so desperate for help that they'll take anything, then anything gets to be added to that. And if your answer to the question, is it worth giving up absolutely everything about you to the government in order to have the healthcare? If your answer to that is yes, then that's your answer. And there's not even a reason to have watched the show today, because that's your answer. And I'm not trying to I'm not trying to talk anyone out of wanting healthcare.
No, or divide
That's
people.
not what I'm doing.
Yeah, don't project.
I'm trying to get people to understand what they're advocating for, because perhaps it's not too late to get people to work on a new piece of legislation that doesn't do this. But again, you've got to get it passed. And you've got to so to just blanketly say, I support Medicare for all. No.
And what does that do? Like, how does that actually implement any change by just simply saying it?
Do I believe healthcare is a human right? Yes. Do I believe that the United States runs a for-profit fucking symptom treating death fucking racket and calls it healthcare? Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Both of those things, but those aren't mutually exclusive things, man.
Right.
Like, how do you expect that just because you pass this fucking bill, that whole business model and that whole fucking paradigm of existence that the federal government operates under is going to change? Like, are you fucking high, dude? Well, I don't care if you're high. Yeah, I guess that was a bad fucking... that was bad fucking
silly.
And I made a point to say that I stood with the organizers of the thing. I made a point to say that like I had fucking empathy and solidarity with these people. I made a point, except for the fucking shitbirds in LA, but I made a point to say that like I recognize what's being done to them has been done to us in the Assange community. It's bullshit. I'm not trying to stop activism. I'm trying to encourage smarter activism.
Yeah, let's just talk and maybe tweak it a little bit. That's all. This isn't trying to be divisive. That's what I'm not actually understanding, because I'm open to hearing because you have to hear all kinds of feedback on this, because that's kind of how this works. But I'm confused about what's divisive.
Yeah.
We're not saying don't do it. It's just like, hey, hi, little me over here. Just I have a question. Yeah, you're being divisive.
Let me butt in for a minute here and thank everyone who's been listening on Aftermath.fm and iHeartRadio.
Yes.
We love the hell out of you guys. We'll see you next week. I'm pretty sure Aftermath has a special going right now to where they're knocking like, I think it's like $50 off a year membership to the station. Aftermath.fm. Check that out. And thanks for being a part of this. I have no idea who comes on after us. I really don't. But stick around for that, because I'm sure it'll be fantastic. I'm sorry. I got to do that now. I apologize for fucking up the flow of the conversation.
Let me interject for a second. Like, my biggest problem, like, yeah, I want people to still like do these marches and all that. But if you go like with any legislation, if you need to aim for shit that you don't think you're gonna get, because they're gonna lop a bunch of shit off that bill. You can't fucking aim high, because they're gonna whittle that shit down. If you go in with the lowest fucking expectations on a bill, guess what? It's gonna be real bad by the time it gets passed. So that's all we're saying. Like fucking do it smart. Like, actually demand price controls and all shit like that, like into the bill, like make them have to fucking cut it and explain why they're cutting it.
Yeah, and then eventually what you'll have is well, this isn't fucking fact, and this isn't fucking database. This is just the way that I know how government works. What you're gonna have is you're gonna have a fucking bill that fucking goes onto the fucking floor, and you're going to have something like, oh, well, people, it's going to be another progressive tax bracket, right? Where instead of 2.9% for fucking all fucking income earners or whatever the fuck, people under fucking 10 grand will have to pay nothing, and people up to 40 grand will have to fucking pay 1.3%, whatever the fuck. And then once you get up to like the middle class area, where you get to like 50 to like 150 fucking K, depending on where you live, because God knows California is like fucking $500,000 a year is like fucking barely middle class, right? Like what you'll have there is you're gonna have fucking taking more fucking money from the middle class, which will create division. So when people tell me I'm just being divisive, no, I'm fucking telling you that if you don't look into the fucking details of this bill, you're not doing you're doing everyone a disservice, including yourself. Like, I think you've become so fucking utopian that you can't fucking see the forest through the trees, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my overly fucking combative fucking stance on this. Like, people have fucking lost it.
I just don't know why I'm supposed to advocate for something that I know as written will fuck me in different ways than the current system is fucking me. Like, if I'm advocating for something I knowingly don't agree with because I've looked at it. Like, again, I believe healthcare is a human right. I do. I don't believe that the United States government is capable of delivering on that vision. So I want to have conversations with people that do in order to figure out how we can get there. The only way we can realistically get there is with an entirely different system of governance. Like, I suppose you could do it with the way the U.S. is working right now if you removed everything about the government and then placed, like, different people in it, and you'd get 10 years before a giant centralized system inherently rewarded all of the most corrupt elements within it, and it would be garbage. But you'd have a decade.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it'd be a nice decade, but, like, just as we've seen fucking the Taft-Hartley legislation just destroy any fucking semblance of the way that fucking organized labor can fucking work. I mean, they're going to come out with fucking ways to fucking neuter it, right? And, like, if anyone truly believes the fucking empire, the United States empire exists, just the fucking concept of the United States goes all over the fucking planet and kills people and takes their shit. That fucking entity alone, that sees human life as a fucking balance sheet, do you really think they're going to come out with legislation that's going to fucking give you the chance as a fucking human being to have a fucking full and open life? Or are they just going to use it as another way to fucking line their fucking pockets, dude? Like, I don't fucking share the optimism that these fucking people do.
Yeah, no. So everybody's got to clear out now. We've all got some shit to do. Reed Coverdale will be with us for the afternoon Rockfin only show. So make sure, especially if you're watching on YouTube. If you didn't know this right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you don't need a Rockfin account at all to watch us on Rockfin. You just need to click the link. That's all you have to do. Just click the link and you can watch us on Rockfin. You don't need to make the account anymore. Rockfin just made this a thing. You don't need the account. You can make one, and I encourage you to do so. And I encourage you to endorse Slow News Day when you do make your Rockfin account. It's $9.99 a month, and you get everybody's paywalled content on the network. Rockfin is also running a special right now where instead of like $120 a month, or a year, it's $100 a year. If you sign up for the year up front, which a number of people have been asking about. So that's why they did the thing. But you no longer need an account at all to watch on Rockfin, you just have to click the link. If you want to fuck around in the chat, you should make an account. But if you just want it on, you just want it on in the background, all you have to do is click the link. We do a Sunday afternoon show exclusively on Rockfin every single week, and it is a fantastic show. It's not that we censor ourselves on YouTube, but we are a little bit more relaxed, and we play more videos and play more music and shit like that. So you should come check that out. And again, all you have to do is click a fucking link. So give that a shot. Huge thanks to everyone who called into the show today. Thanks to everybody who donated through Super A, through Super Chat. I fucking love you guys. We did cross over the $3,000 mark on the GoFundMe, which is fucking incredible. We've got I think 12 or 13 days left in the month. So we gotta hit like a little bit under $200 a day if we want this to work out. I think we can do it. I think we can. Any bit helps. There's no, it's not like it's, yeah, every fucking little bit helps, dude. And if you can't donate, dude, I totally understand. Please share the link. Help get it out there. It's in the description on the YouTube channel. It will be in the description on the Rockfin videos. It's in the chat a couple of times. Huge thanks to my better than your co-host, Ali Alexandra, Sleepy Josh on the ones and twos. We love you guys. We'll see you real soon. Good luck to us all.
Bye, guys.